All right, welcome to another Living Freestyle game dev tech Q&A, AMA, whatever you want to call this. As always, we are doing this, not always, but I mean so far we've been pretty good. We're doing this twice a week. We stream Sunday nights and Wednesday mornings, and generally I work this like office hours. I hang out here. If people have questions, we'll answer them. If I'm not around when you want to ask a question, feel free to post it in the chat from the time before. My name's Kevin. I currently work at Riot Games in R&D, and what we're doing here is, if we don't have any questions, then I'm stumbling through a game I'm making on my own. The reason I'm doing that is because, as I mentioned before in previous streams, I get to do a lot of cool stuff at work. There's a lot of cool stuff I don't get to play with, and so this is a chance for me to do all of that stuff that I don't get to do on the day job. So with that, I'm going to do a quick check and make sure that we don't have any questions in any of our previous videos. And once we have that, we have a lot of catching up to do. And I can also not promise you this is going to be the most exciting of our live streams, simply because I think we've got some code work to do. And that can be exciting for problem solvers and people who love that kind of stuff, but not always exciting to watch. So it doesn't look like we have any questions from any of our previous Q&As, which is cool. And it looks like we're just streaming on our own tonight. So we'll kick up some music, and I'll kind of walk you through where we are and some of the stuff that has been in the works since the last time we were here. So let's go share our left screen, make sure that that is actually happening. Okay, looks like we've got our screen up. All right, where we left off last time was, we had enemy AIs, we'd been fixing stuff, etc., etc. So we're still mostly working on enemy AI, trying to make them a little more sentient and smarter. And since that, we have been kind of busy. So there's a bunch of things that I've been working on that I can show you here real quick. Let me remove a breakpoint. Okay, so tons of cleanup and a bunch of added features as well. So first off, I did a bunch of work to clean up our just the visuals a little bit. So you'll notice that he's actually aiming with the pistol. Another thing that I've done is I've gone through, and in the anim blueprint I've added an offset so that when he shoots, it just looks a little bit more in line with where he's shooting. A couple things like that. The other thing that we have done is, let me just go ahead and make sure that we've got our screen set up. There we go. The other thing that we did is I went ahead and started setting up for item drops, being able to pick up items, drop items, and stuff like that. Not totally there, but if we go over here, you can see this X drops all of our items. Again, this is for debug purposes. If I go over here and I pick up a grenade, I can throw grenades now, which is fun. They get blown to bits. Blowing enemies to bits is always fun. All right, and we also implemented, the ability to swap out our weapons, I believe. Oh, except we don't have the mouse connected, so we have to use the arrow. So we have a rifle. But basically right now, what I've got is the ability to swap my weapons, which I didn't have before. This is grenade, and so on. I have the ability to pick these things up, drop them all, and so on. Now, we're doing that all through inventory, the gameplay ability system, etc. What I got stuck with, and part of what's going to be interesting, was I was trying to figure out, remember last time we worked a little bit on having the enemies be smart about if they get damaged and they go to pick up health, for example, right? Well, part of making them smart is also the ability to have them go pick up weapons, maybe pick up weapons that you dropped, find ammo, and all those kinds of things. But none of that was working, and I couldn't figure out why. And it turns out that what was happening was our enemies they just didn't have inventory. They didn't have slots. They didn't have the ability to pick anything up or any of that stuff. And so what I ended up having to do, which, you know, I'm geekfully proud of, is I basically went through, and I was super nervous about doing this because I didn't want to break the progress of where we were going to. But what I did was, if we're looking at the code a little bit here, you can see here we have, this was our player controller. And our player controller, and I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but overall the point here is our player controller had all of these functions and methods that allowed it to have items, drop items, slot abilities, and do all these kinds of things. And so what I did with my pretty limited code knowledge is I was like, you know what, if that's how the player controller works, what I need the AI controller to do the same thing. But we didn't even have an AI controller. And so what I did is I made one. And to do that, what I did was I copied the player controller and I updated it to inherit from a AI controller. So rather than inheriting from whatever the player controller, what if player controller inherits from? It inherits from, a player controller. I had the AI controller inherit from the AI controller. So it would basically still be an AI controller, but it would just have all of the extra item overrides and everything that we had for the AI controller. After, I don't know, an hour or two of dealing with all of the errors that were happening as a result of that and getting all the classes to work and everything, I'm finally at a point where the game is back up and running and enemies are able to pick up weapons. However, they can't actually use them, which is kind of a bummer. And the reason they can't use them is because they're not able to slot them. And I think just before the Q&A started, let me move this over so I can see what's happening a little better. Just before the Q&A started, I figured out that the problem, I believe, is that they don't have the ability to slot them, and the reason they don't have the ability to slot them is because they are not getting default slots. So I just discovered this just before we started, and I believe the reason that's happening is what I've narrowed down is that in the player controller, what happens is the player controller, when it starts, it goes through and loads inventory. And it loads inventory. I wonder where this happens. See if we can find where inventory gets loaded. It happens in controller base. Handle save game load. Okay. It also happens in begin play. Okay. However, I don't know if an AI controller has begin play. And so, and what's important about that is the load inventory is where those slots get initialized. Because right now when it goes to put something in a slot, there's just no slots to work with. So what I was going to do was I was going to take a look at our controller. Let's take a look at our AI controller. Or no, that's our, and it's under enemy. So our enemy AI, this should inherit from AI controller, right? So any of the default functions that I would expect that I could override, let's just see what we have. Add event. Oh, there is a begin play. Ooh. If there's a begin play, maybe what we can do is we can just do the same thing. But what I want to do is I don't actually want to load the inventory. What I want to do, okay, we're gonna have to kill this, and then let's bring back our, let's move this over. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of code work here. And what that looks like is, you can see here we have this begin play. I do not have this begin play in the AI controller base. So let's just add this. Now I don't actually want to load inventory. What I want to do is I want to initialize the dudes. Initialize inventory. But I'm not going to do it off of the save game. Alright, so let's go back here. And begin play. It doesn't look like it's there because I guess it inherits, so it just overrides. We're gonna see if this even compiles in a second. But inside of player controller base, inside of load inventory, the code that I'm interested in is what it does is it resets the slots, and then it adds, it gets the game instance right here. And if there is no game instance, it returns false. And if the game instance is bound, la-di-da-di-da, we're not going to worry about that. And then we're going to get the items per slot, and we're going to add a bunch of null items. Okay, cool. I'm actually thinking what we want to do is we want to make a function called initialize inventory. So let's just change this. Let's grab all this. And then in our AI controller base, we're going to initialize inventory. And then we need a function called initialize inventory, which is going to be in AI controller base. Initialize inventory. We can reset all this stuff. We can get the world. We can do that. I'm not going to worry about this bit, because I don't want to worry about saving the game for the AI. And we're not going to worry about the current save game. So how much of this is save game versus write? Alright, cool. And then asset manager, save game we're not going to get. We're not going to notify the UI either. And I think we'll return true. Okay. And then we need this exact same thing in our header file, which should be here. Let's see here. Load. Interesting. That's still there. That's okay. Controller base. Here we go. We're gonna grab this guy. And we're gonna go back to our AI. And the interesting thing is that, where is this? Is this in the protected or the public area? Public. So just using previously written code to help us sort this out. Initialize the inventory. This will replace the arrays. Blueprint callable, and we're going to do this. Initialize. Okay, so let's save that. Save this. The fact that inventory data and slotted items and get world are all underlined in red. Makes me suspicious that this may not run. So let's just see. Build it. Six actions. Building the code. If this works, we may not have to spend all of our time. Oh, here we go. That's because this needs to be AI controller base, not the other way around. Save that. Build it again. So anyways, what I was saying was if this works, I think we'll get our slots. I think our enemies will have our stuff and we'll be able to go back into engine and see. Begin play member function not declared in AI controller base. Interesting. So controller base. Let's look at player character base. And let's look for begin play. Oh, there. Wait. What? Begin play. Okay, there's only 2 of them there. And player controller base. Oh, there is a begin play. Look at that. Alright, so AI controller base is under here. Let's add in this begin play. One more build. See how this goes. Holding my breath. Ooh, 1 succeeded. Look at that. We are hacking this stuff together. It'll work. All right. So my hope is that once this comes up, that as a result of now having initialized slots, theoretically, and we may have to step through the code to make sure that the characters will actually be able to fill those slots now. And the enemies should have the same number of slots as the heroes. Now, here's the other thing that's interesting about this and why I'm potentially thinking I want to be doing this. My hope is that you'll be able to have friends help you out in game, and that they'll be able to pick up items and they'll be able to do all these different things. And by friends, what I mean is people who are controlled by the matrix, and they'll be able to run around. Or if for some reason, you know, I don't know, somebody disconnects the DC, maybe it'd be nice to have an AI fill in while they're gone. However, I don't think ultimately this is going to be one of those autoplay games. So like, I don't think I'll be happy with it if you're able to like either play or win this game with an autoplay. But for a quick thing like that, like a quick DC or whatever, it might be kind of a cool thing. We'll see. We'll see if we ever, you know, get that far. Okay, so let's see if it just plays without crashing. We have no weapons personally. The blue dude, you'll see he spawns in a whole area of pistols. If any of this stuff is working, oh dude, did you see that? The pistol showed up. Oh, and he's got, oh, he just picked up a whole bunch of things. So he now has weapons. Look at this. I don't know why he's not shooting me. But we're back to where we wanted to be. The dude actually has a gun now. And he actually has a bunch of different guns. And so what we gotta figure out is why he's not actually shooting. This is cool. Okay, so let me go get my own pistol. And I should be able to pick this one. And I could shoot still, yes. Okay, he's got rifles, grenades. Every time he's walking all over all this stuff, he's picking it up. I might need to do some work to make sure they're not picking up more than one of the same. Ooh, he just went for that health. Just went for that health. Oh, dude, all this stuff is starting to work. Okay, cool. Run away. He was too far from that. Okay, so now that we're kind of back on track, let's do a couple things here. What I want to know is when he spawns, why he doesn't shoot. So let's go to shoot gun. And in our gameplay ability, shoot gun, which is part of the projectile base, what I think might be happening is, let's see what happens when we activate this ability. Alright. Well, that's interesting. I don't start with the... Okay. Right now he doesn't have a gun in his hand, so I don't believe he can shoot. Now he's got a gun. Oh, wait, that's me activating the ability. Oh, he just activated the ability. Okay, so we're committing the ability, that's fine. We're casting to, which is true. This is camera manager stuff, which we're not gonna worry about. Because that's where we get all the targets. Okay. Then we're gonna set our avatar actor. In this case, it's gonna be the enemy range. That's great. So if it's an enemy, we're setting our aim forward vector to be all of this normalized stuff. That's interesting. Oh, but dude, it's actually spawning the projectile. I think maybe it's just spawning it in the wrong place. Interesting. So as an enemy, how is this working? If it's an enemy, we get the AI controller's focal point. We get the world location. Okay, you know what we're gonna do now? We're going to do some debugging. So if it's an enemy, that's true. We're gonna set our aim forward vector, and our aim source location is gonna come from the world location of the weapon. This is the one that I want to know. So let's draw. Wait, am I still playing? Yeah. Okay. So from here, when we do this, let's do a draw debug. Let's just do a box. Nope, that's too complicated. We'll just do a point. We'll make it big and hot pinkish, so we can see it. Let's make it the size 60, or no, let's make it 100. Except keyboard is not working. Dag nav you keyboard, what is wrong with you? right? Interesting. Okay. Duration of, let's say 5, just to give us a chance to see this thing. We'll put it in this position. We'll set our aim. So what should happen is it's going to draw a pink dot wherever that aim source location is for the enemy after they pick up their gun. So we just need him to pick up his gun. Okay, picked up his gun. Oh no. Alright. Oh, it's right there. Well, clearly that's the right place. Oh wait, he shot me. He's totally shooting me. Dude, my stuff always works. Sometimes. Okay, I don't know why he wasn't shooting me before. That was super weird. Alright, well we can get rid of that debug. Compile and save that. Run again. And make sure that that still works. Let's get our weapons out. Shoot this dude. Okay, enemies, ranged enemies are busted. Because if you shoot them, it's weird because on one hand, he kept moving, but for some reason he just stopped moving there. So we'll take a look at that in a second. All right, he's got a gun. He's got a gun. He's shooting me. It's doing damage. Oh my goodness. This is awesome. Okay. So what this does is this gives us the ability to start to do PUBG style stuff, like where everybody drops in the map, enemies included, and they are also going to go pick up resources and ammo and all those kinds of things. So one of the things that I definitely don't like is he sees me. Why is he's walking so far before he shoots again? I just don't like this behavior on the ranged enemies. But I think we'll fix that. Actually, let's fix that right now. Enemy. Okay, so our enemy, if it's ranged, gonna come in, tells friends, sight, aim, start, wait, shoot, simple parallel. He's updating the last known from the target. Updates current attack position, so I want to move to attack position. Okay. The reason I don't like this is because I feel like maybe ranged characters shouldn't move so much. And if we look at our update current attack position, what's happening is it comes in here, it gets a location. These are all debugs, we're not gonna worry about that. We're looking at the 3 rings, but if we're ranged, we're in the outside ring, that's fine. It's gonna find that stuff. Okay, and then when it's done with that, it comes in and it says it's looking for the enemies. When that says complete, it goes to find a spot. So when it comes in to find a spot, what it's checking to see is checking the ring index against the last enemy location, ring radius, find a new spot. Wait a minute. The last enemy location distance is greater than ring radius. We're gonna find a new spot. Find a new spot. What does this do? Oh, interesting. So what's happening is it finds a new spot within those rings, but I don't think we really want that. I don't think we really want that. I think the problem is when we're ranged. I think we just want to move slightly. Let me think. Just to keep them alive. Melee attack. Alright, so with that in mind, I think we would have to create a new task. So for now, if we just disconnect that, basically wherever they start shooting from, they're just going to keep shooting from. That should be what happens. We'll let the poor dude get a gun first. Let's go, buddy. Oh, I wonder. I have an idea. He's not actually shooting me. Okay, I have an idea. I have an idea why he shoots me. Okay. I'm wondering if that's blocking our line of sight. So he's just gonna stand there and keep shooting me. This is fine. This is fine for testing. But if he loses me, line of sight, he's gonna run to a good spot. Interesting that he didn't look. Okay. This is fine behavior. I think ultimately we'll want the ranged enemies to maybe so they don't shoot from the same place over and over again. But overall, this is cool. This is good. Okay, so what were we gonna do? We were going to kind of rearrange some of this and make it so that one, we don't need all of these pistols. Okay. And okay. What's happening though right now is he thinks he's shooting. Like, I'll bet you if we look at this dude's blueprint, he's trying to shoot. He's over here. He's doing the shoot task. But in the shoot task, he doesn't have a gun, so he's never gonna shoot. In fact, if we put a breakpoint in here, I can show you. Oh, it never even comes out of shoot task. Okay, once it comes in here, it doesn't break out. Okay, let's fix that. We need to fix that. Alright, so let's come out here when this dude spawns. He's gonna turn around, try to shoot me. We're gonna hit this breakpoint, and somewhere in here, this is gonna be, we're gonna hit a failed condition. Probably this one. Yes. So our weapon's not valid. So it just fails out. It never ends the ability, which is, you know, we need to finish execute on this and just set success to false. Do we have any more that are like that? This one's not even used. Finish. Okay, cool. So one, they'll do that. Now, one of the things that we want to do is we don't want to shoot if he doesn't actually have a gun. And part of the problem is he thinks he can shoot. So why does he think he can shoot? Right, because this dude is actually executing the ability. Oh, no. He's not executing the ability. He doesn't have a gun. Hold on a second. The gun's not valid, so we're not setting those locations. So we never get to this, and we never activate the abilities. Interesting. Shoot task should really be called use ranged weapon. Daylight savings time is killing me. Okay, so it should be use ranged weapon, but let's just pretend that's what it is. So when we come into the shoot task, if we don't have a weapon, we do want to fail out. We do want to fail out, that's true. Interesting, there's a couple things here. First off, when he spawns in, he's in a mode where he thinks he can shoot. Let's take a look at our enemies really quick here. Are they starting with an ability? Health changed. Get overlap. Set damage. Destroyed. Uncomponent begin overlap. What does this do? This looks like it's our melee, but I didn't think this would happen on. Oh, it is the spear. Because the spear is parented to the hand. This is our punch. Okay, cool, that's fine. Alright, red herring. Our enemy AI. What I'm looking for is I'm looking to see why this dude thinks he can shoot in the first place. Okay. So that's inventory item changed, slot of item changed. On perception, target perception possess, behavior trees. Okay, we're not doing this, so this isn't where the problem's coming from. Let's check our defaults. Okay. Compile and save. Enemy. Class defaults. Enemy AI. Oh yeah, dude has shoot gun. Okay, so here's a good test. Melee's fine. We're going to have to get it so that when the character doesn't have the ability to shoot or the ranged weapon isn't equipped, he doesn't think he's ranged. We're gonna have to change a lot of the logic for this to work. So he doesn't have a gun. Wait, how's that dude think he can shoot me? Okay. We need to go back. We need to bring back our pistols. This is a pistol, I believe. Yes. Let's put this right underneath where he drops down. So the minute he lands, he has a gun. What I'm curious is now, okay, let me explain to you what was happening before because you missed some of this before because I was working on it offline. What was happening before was even though the enemies had the ability shoot gun, they never activated the ability. And a large part of that was because they didn't actually have the weapon. So now that we fixed all of that weapon stuff, what I'm curious is if they are carrying the gun itself should grant them the ability to shoot without them having the ability granted as part of their default ability set. So theoretically, what I'm hoping is that when this dude drops from the sky, he picks up a gun. He did. And he can shoot. Thank you. The ability system is working. All right, cool. Okay, so that's cool. But what I want to do though is when this dude spawns, let's save everything. What I want to do is I want the enemy to spawn. Are we setting his overlay state anywhere? Overlay, none. Check in here. Overlay, none. Possess. Running the behavior tree. We don't want to do this. What we want to do is we need to change. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to change this so that what we were doing before is if the enemy was ranged, we were setting the is ranged boolean. Okay, and then what was happening is then that would allow the character to shoot. But what we actually want to do is if they're holding a gun and a gun is actually equipped, then they can be ranged. So now he's actually should be melee. But I don't know if he's actually going to hit me. But he's acting like a melee character. You can tell by how close he tries to get to me. Now the interesting thing is, if I bring him... Oh, he will never get ranged because we never set the boolean. But we can get him to come across his gun. There we go. He picked up a gun. And you can see all those prints where he picked up the guns and the grenades. Alright, so let's go back. Are we still... Is this thing still on? Okay, it is. Alright. That's interesting. Our set aim forward vector is bogus too. Shoot gun. Nope. That was in our... Where were we doing that? Was that in our enemy AI that we were doing all those prints? Let's check. Print. Nope. Oh, I know where that was. That was in this guy. Our inventory equip blueprint. Here's our print string. We're not gonna do this. We don't need that. We can fill our empty slots though. So we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna print this. We don't need to get the slotted items anymore either. Do we even need to get the inventory items? I don't think we do. Okay. This just got a whole lot simpler. Alright, so that gets rid of those prints. Cleaning that up. Our AI ability tree, that's still fine. What we were trying to do was... Come on, daylight savings time. You're killing me. I can't even think. Okay. What were we doing? Ah, yes. Alright. What we were doing was we were going to change our is ranged. Is ranged is not set. Is ranged is set. So there's a couple ways that we could do it. We could change maybe our decorator to find out if we have a ranged weapon in our hands. So we basically, in the AI world, what we could do is we could create a thing that just checks to see if, rather than checking for the boolean is ranged or not, what we could do is we could check to see if they actually have a weapon in their hand. Or what we can do is on the enemy when they change weapons, if it's Let's see here. Can we get the slotted weapon? Get the slotted. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. When they pick up an item, I don't even think we're doing this. Let's see. Alright, we'll see which one of these we're hitting. We're going to pick up an item, we're going to create all our weapons, and then let's just see what our slotted weapon is. So we're going to get slotted abilities. Get the current weapon slot. Get the default slotted abilities. Read the value of the slotted abilities. Okay. Let's go for each in here. Find. Nope. Utilities. Map. Keys. Let's just print them out. Let's see what our keys are here. So what should happen is when this dude picks up a gun, he should print out. Let's see here. Print string. So that's the slot. This is a slot number. Here we go. Here's our name. Let's see what this does. So when this guy falls on that gun, which is no longer there, put that back. We should just leave this here for a little while. When he falls on this, we should see a print of what the slotted abilities are. Oh, interesting. Hold on, we actually wanted to see that. Wait, it didn't print anything. Hold on, let's kill that guy. Great, we need a gun to do that. Alright. So first off, from a debugging standpoint, for some reason that dude did not trigger that box. I don't understand that at all. Can't shoot. Leave the target, man. Okay, so the inventory item, event inventory item changed. Okay. And then the slotted item changed as well. So what's happening here? It is a weapon. And what is the item? Grenade. Okay, so he moved over the grenade. Alright, so let's get rid of this and this. Let's resume. Okay. Okay, wait a minute. He just picked up that gun and I didn't see anything print. Okay, so it's possible, hold on, it's possible he's not actually, there's no slot change when he picks up the gun. Okay, there's a slot change. Create all weapons. So none of his abilities are slotted? That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. If the enemy doesn't have any abilities slotted, how's he shooting me? And also, I wonder if it's hitting this at all. Let's resume this. Wait a minute. Go on. Hold on a second. I may have the order wrong. Could be the problem. Okay, so when this dude spawns, event inventory item changed. Well, that's not what we want because it's not slotted yet. Okay, so then do we have a breakpoint on slotted item change? Put a breakpoint on this too. Then we're gonna resume. Then we're gonna get our slotted items. So then we come in here. Then we hit our slotted item change. That's why we're not seeing anything. Okay. So let's just take this and go here instead. Now this should print. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Let's go. Let it ride. Look at that weapon. Okay, so we do have a slotted ability. Wait a minute. It's a weapon. Oh, that's right. That's what we were doing. Okay, so slotted type changed. Okay, so if it's a weapon, we need to know what kind of weapon. Oh, I'm really not. I'm liking this less and less and less and less. I wonder. Slot. Get current weapon slot. Let's break that. Slot number. Break that. And name. So rather than printing that, what we'll do is we will print the current weapon slot name. It's interesting, I start by default with grenade weapon. Okay, that doesn't help me, man. Get the current weapon slot. Item type. Get. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out how to get the current weapon. And I don't want to have it visible for this to work. It shouldn't have to. But this will probably print gun now. Gun. So it totally prints gun. So what I can do with that is I can print, I can, the weapons themselves should be able to tell us if they're ranged or not, which is kind of the goal. But the fact that the current weapon slot, what can I get from the current weapon slot? Get slotted item. Alright, let's see if this prints weapon too. Okay, so we're gonna come in here. We're gonna get the current weapon slot and we're going to return. We're gonna print out what the slotted item is. And see what's going on here. Gun, okay. Okay, that way I know this, okay, I like that better, that's cleaner. Alright, so let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. We can get rid of this and this and this and this and this. And then what we can do is we get the slotted item. And then if it's a weapon item, okay. Horde Wars weapon item. Where is that defined? Is that in code? HWZ weapon. Hold on. What I want to do is I want to set on the weapon. Oh my goodness, I'm tired. Alright, on the weapon. So this weapon blueprint is an actor. That's not what we're looking for. This weapon is also an actor, not what we're looking for. The gun is a, here we go. So here's our gun. We got our item name, we got our description, we got our images, we got our price of what it costs, the count, the granted abilities, and the ability levels. And it is an Horde Wars weapon item, which is in code. I'm just looking at the code here. All right, what I need for this to work is I need to add a variable to this, which I have to do in code. So what I need to do is I find, all right, so this is how I do my code hacks. All right, so let's save all this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back the code. And I know I need something like this. It's a U property. Okay, it's gonna go in the weapon category, that's fine. But what I need to find is a Boolean example. Nope. I'm gonna keep clicking these .h's until I find one. Bool. That's a function. Here we go, here's a U property. Okay, so it's just bool, that's fine. Controller base. These are all functions. Those are protected, we don't want those. Horde Wars character. These are all functions, no variables. Okay. Well, let's just items, skill item, token item, item type. Okay. New property. Oh, here we go. Price. Why would this be blueprint read only? All of these are blueprint read only. Weapon item. That can't be right. Man, I don't know if I want to do that there. I do, but I don't. Didn't. All right, let's just do this. Let's just copy this. And let's go. Oh, it's edit anywhere. Okay, category abilities is fine. Let's call this ranged ability. And we're gonna call this a boolean be ranged. Okay, so theoretically, this should just compile. And we should see a new boolean in our items called it's a ranged ability. And then if that works, what we can do is we can check that. And then if that's true, then we can set the ranged thing based on the weapon that we just equipped. It is gonna take a long time for my brain to unscramble all of this stuff. It's one thing when we're doing this in prototype, but to get to all of this stuff to just like mesh together and play together well. Like for example, the fact that I have to, we don't know that, have the inventory load or all of the inventory code in both the AI controller and the player controller doesn't seem right. It seems like the inventory code should just be written separately, and then both of those controllers should just be able to use it because it's the same, so I don't have to write it in two different places. So there's just a bunch of unscrambling I'm gonna have to do. Okay, so that built okay. We're launching, which is good. Oh, and actually, we've been having so much fun watching code dry that we've actually burned through our full time. But we're gonna test this first. And then we'll call it a wrap. Okay, so theoretically, if we look up our gun, which is this guy, see this checkbox now here? It is a ranged ability. That is cool. Okay, so let's save this. And then let's go back to, where were we? I think we were the AI controller. Enemy AI. Where we were doing the current weapon slot. There we go. We're casting that to a weapon item. So if we get the ranged ability, so if that's true, we are going to set the blackboard for this controller blackboard the blackboard. Hold on. We're inside the enemy AI, so we should be able to get the blackboard just from self, but let's just see. Oh, we have the blackboard as a variable. Here's the blackboard. And we are going to set a Boolean value. And we are going to set it to be we can just do this. We don't even need the if statement or the branch, because we can just set that like that. So cool. Oh, it didn't like that. Oh yeah, we need to make a key. Make a literal name, and then from our blackboard, that name is, I can't remember what it was called. I think it's same thing is ranged. Blackboard B is ranged. It is the same. Let's copy this. Okay, so now what should happen is if we equip the gun, the dude should shoot. And the gun is the first thing he falls on. Yes. And he shoots. Great. Now just to make sure that that works, let's disconnect this. We're not going to set the range part. He's going to fall on the gun. He's going to have a gun and he should not shoot him. He has a gun, but he doesn't know he's ranged. He hasn't seen me yet. So he's probably, when he does see me, he's gonna come fight melee. So even though the dude has a gun in his hand, he doesn't know he's supposed to be shooting because of the work that we did. All right, dude. Overall, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty stoked with where we got to. I mean, our enemies are now capable of having inventory. So basically, as a result of the work we've done, we've given our enemies the ability to have inventory now, which means starting, you know, Wednesday or whenever I'm next working on it, I'm going to be able to sit down and start figuring out how to make enemies more aware of the environment beyond health. They'll be able to go pick things up like weapons. So it'll be cool. We'll basically be able to get rid of these two enemies we have. We'll just have one enemy, and when the enemy spawns, depending on which weapon it picks up first, will determine what it's going to use. So that's pretty cool. Spent a little bit more time in code tonight, but that's okay. I mean, if I can muddle through it, so can you. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty stoked, except for daylight savings time kicking my butt. All right, everybody. We went a little bit longer tonight, but that's cool. We will see you all Wednesday morning. As always, if you have questions, you can just post those in the comments down below. And thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Cool. Have a great week, everybody.